Before we jump into today's video, my friends over at G Fuel just launched the brand new Dub Melon Mint flavor, along with a couple of new shakers to go along with it. If you guys want to check that out, you can get 30% off using code ESPRESSO. Check it out, link in the description below. So yesterday we talked about how the first seasonal refresh was on the horizon for Modern Warfare, and that ended up dropping today. Players got either a 10.2 gigabyte download on PlayStation 4, 14.05 on Xbox One, or 15 gigabytes for PC earlier for update 1.12, the new title update that brought along all of what we discussed as of yesterday, and then even more in terms of some fixes and some stuff that actually has weight in terms of the patch and the game version itself. But naturally, there's a decent bit to cover, so we'll break down all of that here in this video and keep you guys in the loop entirely for everything that really changed with this update. But before we begin, let me know your thoughts of the update if you've jumped in so far by now, and of course, if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare on a daily basis. That said, let's get into it. As for the content, the noticeable and immediately visible stuff, we can sort of just recap that since we mentioned yesterday a lot of this in the preview that we got, but we got the new maps of Shipment, Vacant, and Winter Docks, the playlist update including Vacant and Shipment 24/7 in terms of the Season 1 Mosh Pit, then we also got Cranked, we got Standard Gunfight, and as well that's also mixed in with Ground Warrior Quick Play Filters, Realism Mosh Pit, and as well Infected State around this time also. We got a new Spec Ops operation of Operation Strongbox and 2 new missions of Disinform and Bomb Squad. We also got a couple of bundles, including that of the new operator, Nikto. But we talked about that stuff yesterday. You don't really need too much of a refresher here on that, but what I did want to talk about is how this kind of stuff plays, what you can expect when you jump into it. So firstly, let's start out with, well, Shipment. This is probably the one that I have the most to say about, and everything afterwards may be dwarfed by it, but Shipment, man, oh man, it's hectic to say the least. When it works in your favor, it's fantastic, but when it's not, then it might be the most painful thing to experience in this game, I think. Firstly, from my hour or two of playthrough in the Season 1 Mosh Pit, I didn't really come into contact with many people actually using that elevation or that height advantage that we saw showcased within the trailer. Didn't really see too many people up there. Actually didn't see too many people really mounted in head glitches, surprisingly, either. But specifically for that secondary level of play, it's probably because it's incredibly hard to get up there outside of that first push that you have right at the beginning of the match, right when it starts. But the biggest thing that you'll probably notice, and the biggest thing that I noticed, were spawns. This, I think, will be everyone's biggest issue with Shipment. Spawns have always been bad on Shipment, no matter the game that it was a part of. That's natural. 12 players, you're never going to get a good spawn in that map with that amount of players. That's just a simple fact. You're already practically packed in there like sardines comparatively, and with the map movement, there's no real good way to spawn without somebody being almost immediately in a gunfight with you. But I'll be honest, both when they work for me and when they work against me, I'd be willing to bet that these are the worst spawns that we've seen in any game as of recently for Call of Duty. I get the oddball spawn here and there, but if I'm spawning in the same crates as an enemy, or if I'm spawning in front of someone looking at me multiple times a game, that's an issue. Even on Shipment. That wouldn't have happened to me before on any other variation of Shipment outside of maybe the rare occurrence, and maybe I'm lucky, but the icing on the cake for my experience is what you'll be seeing on screen right now. This is about to be the most abused thing ever. And I partially hate myself for bringing it to attention because I know it's going to be abused, but you can't adapt or learn spawns for this kind of stuff. If you get in the very furthest back point of the spawns, those being the opposite spawns of the side of where flags are on domination, you will literally have players spawning right in front of you. The spawns are so sticky that their backs will be to you, point blank range, and there's nothing they can do to move out of that. There is no counter, there is no way that you can combat this, and even on, say, what, 2020 is the highest sensitivity in this game, I think? Even on that, you'll still die before you even turn around. And listen, I understand the map just came out, and we talked about plenty of times here on the channel how gameplay in the wild yields astronomically more data than in-house, but this one, I'm just surprised that when what I consider myself as a slightly above average player who's played very minimal in the last few weeks, may I add, finds this in his first games of Shipment domination. I don't think that should have gotten to live servers, man. FYI, what you saw with that, I'm never touching that again. I feel just scummy and dirty after sitting in somebody's spawn like that, but it illustrates the issues that I have perfectly here with this, where the system in place, it's not something you can learn or adapt to, it's just simply not where it should be right now. Other than the spawn issues though, admittedly, I did have a lot of fun with it. It is super hectic, it is super chaotic, and it is something that forces players for the most part to move around, unless you do of course get those people that like to sit in those corners or like to sit on head glitches. But I found a lot more activity with this map naturally than any of the others that we see in standard 6v6. But I am hoping for some spawn improvements, otherwise I might not be playing it all that much. Vacant, on the other hand, that one I feel like, again, as with everything else, we're gonna have so much less to say about this. I had a good time with this map. I still think I'm trying to gauge how it feels, but personally, I think it feels a lot more compact and a little bit more claustrophobic. I don't know if that's just me, but overall, I liked it. Once you end up getting in, say, about a minute or two into the match, you're not really gonna notice any of the doors that are placed around the map. A lot of that stuff really just gets broken or flung open and doesn't get touched outside of that, so that was a concern I saw that I don't think many people will really have too much to talk about. Overnight, the 2v2 variation of docks, thematically set at night and with Christmas decorations. Very similar to docks naturally, but in a few instances you may encounter some lighting issues or some visibility with some of the decorations being obstructive, but other than that, it's really not all that different. Cranked, I had a hit or miss time with. I felt that I was getting in some really sweaty lobbies, but I think that's probably just because it's update day. That stuff always happens whenever new content drops, but truth be told, I really liked this. I loved players being forced to move. Yes, there are still going to be people that you may encounter that are camping that haven't gotten that first kill yet, or they may just, for whatever reason, be camping while they're cranked still. But all in all, I had a lot of fun with this one. It forced players to move, but I thought that personally, this big content addition that we had here in terms of the maps, in terms of the modes, I, for the most part, right now enjoyed it. It may very well be the honeymoon phase, again, save for, say, the spawns on Shipment. I thought it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with it. You guys are definitely okay if you disagree. Whether or not this ends up bringing me back to playing 3 hours a day or something like I was doing at launch, I don't know. I might still take a couple of days off and play 1 or 2 days consecutively, take 2 days off like I have been kind of. But overall, it is something that I enjoy the content added here with it. One thing that I do wish that wouldn't have happened would be that of, obviously, the Nikto bundle. The only way that you can end up getting him right now is paying $20 as a bundle for him, a couple of blueprints and some other smaller stuff. But I have seen that for those that didn't end up buying him, some screenshots saying to unlock the operator, it says coming soon, ... So maybe in the future there's an update that adds an organic way to unlock Nikto, but I guess right now it's still kind of all a little bit hazy and a little bit fuzzy. But for the time being, that was added in. If you do decide to end up getting the Nikto bundle, not gonna lie, the Kilo variant that comes along with it is pretty badass. Anyways though, that is the stuff that was added content-wise, but in terms of other changes, things that we didn't preview or that we didn't get any pre-information about, come down to some big adjustments. There's a lot of stuff that we'll scroll through here at the very end of it, but the bigger ticket items in terms of changes come down to, firstly, audio changes. We saw that there was an adjustment to the footsteps in which it reduced the audible range of third-person footsteps. Now, the way this is worded to me is pretty vague. When I personally think about what this literally means, I'm personally thinking about the range in which you can hear footsteps from a top-down perspective. That's the third person, meaning that if you're looking at that player from a top-down third person, you're looking at your player, that circumference of the range and how far out it extends that you hear that audio, it just got smaller. So essentially a nerf to footstep audio, which is something that players have been asking for quite some time. Whether or not it's exactly what players want and if it will be enough, well, I think it's still a little too early to tell. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Personally, I played way too many chaotic modes today to really test it out or really gauge how different it really is. But outside of that, it said that it increased the occlusion on footsteps. It adjusted various foley sounds so that players at a larger range than footsteps during ADS and crouch movements. It fixed the glitch for air vehicles not occluding properly. That was something with, I think, the precision airstrike and the VTOL being an issue. It had general occlusion adjustments to all air vehicles, also included in that one. And then also it fixed the knife impact sounds missing from kill cams. Weapon-wise, we ended up seeing an adjustment to the hipfire spread for the 357 snake shot, so it's consistent regardless of stance. It reduced flinch on the Kar 98K, EBR 14, and the MK2 or Mark II carbine. In other adjustments and additions, there is an auto sprint option added to always sprint or always super sprint. There's now functionality added for auto walk for keyboard and mouse players. There's a keybind that can be added in the options menu menu via the advanced section of move forward. And for controller, when this feature is enabled in the options menu, it can be activated in-game simply by pushing the movement stick forward twice. Additionally, there was a bug where players who were unable to swap field order upgrades after selecting Field Upgrade Pro, that's apparently been fixed out. I know that was something that, to my knowledge, was something that threw grenades or placed stuff whenever you were trying to activate it. Then it also fixed a bug where all tablet-based kill streaks and field upgrades would have a zoomed-in view when using it on a Nia Palace. Now, outside of that, there's a whole host of other general bug fixes and things that you may never have come in contact with that will be on screen right now for you guys to check out. There also is a bunch of stuff added for classic Spec Ops operations, the Call of Duty League, and other smaller things as well, which again, you can see on screen right now. But overall, this added in a lot of changes to things. This ended up having some implications for how content will play out. And at the end of the day, yes, there were some things like the spawns on Shipment, but overall, I didn't really think too poorly of this update in particular. I know that might be kind of blasphemous to some people that you can't think positively about the game, but I mean, for what it's worth, we got new content, we got some changes to issues that players have been asking for. Is it the overhaul that everybody is hoping for? Is it something that's going to add Dead Silence as a perk? Is it something that's going to add the minimap back to its standard original state? Is it something that's going to fix all the spawns or anything like that we've seen? No, but I mean, this is our 2-week refresh that we've been seeing on a regular basis now for Modern Warfare, adding in new content, not really changing the fundamentals. So personally, I was only expecting that. I was really only thinking of it at a perspective of the new content that we'd be getting and taking it from that level, but we did get some extra changes on the back end as well. That said, that's going to wrap it up. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Is there anything in particular you guys like, love, hated, disliked, whatever it is? Feel free to let me know down there in the comment section down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare. And of course, if you guys also want to get connected with me outside of YouTube a little bit further, Twitter and Instagram are the best places to do so. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's set out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.